Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Ignite SAT Master Course. Today, we'll be covering Lesson 6 of Module 4, Line of Best Fit Questions. Now, just as a refresher, what are these line of best fit questions? Now, they're going to look a little something like these questions. There's either going to be a bunch of scattered plot dots on a graph with a line going through them indicating a best fit, or there's going to be a strong or negative correlation, strong, positive, negative, weak, any of those terms to define a correlation, and you have to figure out which one best supports that. Now, as you can see, these are two examples of questions, but they can take any number of forms. You might have to determine a best fit line for a specific graph as well. Now, let's try answering one of these questions. Now, let's look at question 14. According to the line of best fit in the scatter plot above, which of the following best approximate the year in which the number of miles traveled by the air passengers in country X was estimated to be $550 billion? Now, let's dissect this a little bit. They are asking us to determine the number of miles of a country X when it was estimated to be $550 billion, and we have to determine the year. So let's look at the graph. As you can see, I indicated 550 billion miles of traveling on the y-axis. So now we just have to find the year, the corresponding x-axis. So let's slightly go to the right and follow along that line until we intersect with the graph right there. And that is where the line intersects 550 billion. And if we go straight down and look down, we can see that the intersection is actually on roughly this number, which is, if we look at our answer choices, 2003. And that's how we would analyze a best fit line on a graph. Now that you've seen a question, how about you guys try doing this one on your own? All right, now that you've had a chance to do this question, let's take a look at it. Which of the following graphs best shows a strong negative association between D and T? And let's dissect this first. What is this exactly asking? It's asking, firstly, for a strong association. And we know that strong associations are tightly clustered together. So if we look at the option choices, what can we get rid of? Well, we can for sure get rid of A. That is not a tight cluster. It is very, very loose. Now let's look at the next phrase, a negative association. Let's look at the rest of these answers. Well, B is relatively straight. That is not a negative association. That is not going to be the answer. And then if we look at C, that is very, very positive. That will not be the answer either. So D is the only one left. That is a negative association and strong. So that is going to be our correct answer. Now, let's take a look at some tips when answering these best fit line questions. Now, the first thing to do is interpret what the question is asking. Is it asking for a variable on the x-axis or the y-axis? Is it asking us to create a line of best fit? Or is it asking us to find an association or a correlation between two different variables? The next thing we want to do is simplify. Now, these simplifications can either be in terms of variables or they can be in terms of other things such as, lines or analyzing direct lines on the graphs and being able to intersect them with both variables. The next thing to do is cross. Cross out any options do not fit the answer. We know that in our last question that we could cross out certain answer choices because of the specific wording used in the question. And lastly, verify. Verify that your answer is correct and that is consistent with the answer and question given. And if you do these 4 steps, your answer will directly correlate with what is given on the question. Next time, we're going to be looking at exponential functions questions on the math section of the SAT.